Hey, this is Dona Nova and Sophia Dario, and we're coming here to talk to you today about all things spiritual and metaphysical. We have a question submitted prior to this recording, so we're going to talk about that later. But first, let me just introduce myself really quickly. I'm Dona Nova. I am known online as the Transdimensional Twin Flame and the Afterlife Artist. The reason being, I am a twin flame, so I share a soul with another human who happens to be my husband, but he also happens to be across the veil. So we've continued our mission interdimensionally, transdimensionally, and we're able to channel visionary artwork with energy of the violet flame embedded into it. We also channel that energy into our writings, our afterlife art, which illustrates what it's like on the other side of the veil, because I am able to visit him there. And we also are crystal healers. We're certified crystal healers. We do distance crystal healing sessions, and we do have crystals available for purchase, and we channel that energy into the crystals. So, anybody who works with any of our tools, the purpose is to connect you more deeply to the non physical and to your higher self. So you can find me as the Transdimensional Twin Flame on YouTube, Transdimensional Twin Flame on Facebook. And then I have a private group on Facebook by the same name for anybody who has the desire or is experiencing already an after death across the veil interdimensional relationship. And now to Sophia.
Hi. I'm a Starseed channel, and what I do is mainly on YouTube. I channel for Keepers of Light. So it's a portal where I tune into the energetic field of those who are keepers of light or light keepers, and I, just come read the messages that I'm picking up from that field. And I also do oracle card readings on the side, and I will post some of those sometimes on this page also. And the page is called Keeper of Light Awareness, and there you're going to find the channeling sessions and of course the readings. And I have a Patreon page where I do additional readings, just kind of like be more practical in terms of in relation to what you find from the channeled messages on that YouTube page. So we will be able to provide links to all of our work, and so that in case you're interested in finding out more, then you can come and we welcome you anytime.
Cool. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to play my favorite singing bowl. This is for the heart chakra, and we're just going to get into sacred space. I'm going to call in our guides and protection. I'm going to call in my partner, Chris, and we are going to open a circle for sacred space, enclosing ourselves and everyone watching in the golden white light of protection and source consciousness. So all you have to do right now is relax for a minute and just let the vibrations of this bowl frequency enter your field. It's very relaxing. Man, I love that bowl.
Right?
The
So
first time I
relaxing.
heard it, I cried.
Really?
Yeah, as soon as I heard it, we were trying to pick which bowl. I was at a gym show, and I was like, can you just show me, different bowls? And I heard that one, and it just went through me. And
Straight to your straight to your
the
core.
first few times I just cried. It was great. Um, okay, so we asked for questions to be submitted in my Facebook group for anything that they would like us to channel and talk about. So we're going to pick one today. This question is, how can we transcend our family of origin trauma in the bloodline? I want to end the BS in my family line, my family tree, with me, which is a great question. And it would be great if more people ask these kinds of questions, because the way that we're all going to find our way into a better life, a more satisfying and happy life, is to do this kind of work, which I refer to as shadow work, because in the metaphysical community, most people know what that is, meaning the shadow is the subconscious. And anything to do with shadow work involves, finding out what's in your subconscious, what is stuck in there, emotionally, and like memories, patterns, things that you might not even remember from your childhood. Just the place where things are stuffed when you really can't process them and you don't even know it. It's just there. We all have it. And it's really the work of your lifetime to dig into that aspect of yourself. If you are at that level, not everybody's going to be wanting to do this, but if you really want to look at yourself, and be honest with what you see, and actually escape some of your own wounds and your patterning, any of your own fears, and stuck emotions, then that's what you do. So, to stop a family history of, the darker aspects of humanity, and we all have these things, these toxic traits that run in our families, at some level, Um, if you want to transcend these patterns, it is best to start with yourself. The shadow work that I'm talking about involves being able to um, become mindful of yourself, become mindful of your feelings and your thoughts and how it feels in your body. If something happens to you that creates an unpleasant emotion, uh, the thing to do at that moment is to become mindful of what's happening, label the emotion, notice where you feel it in your body, and ask yourself, okay, what is this? Because, what's the reason? Um, has this happened before? What was happening when it happened before? Go all the way back to the first time you can ever remember feeling this way, and ask yourself, what was happening right then when I first felt this? You may not remember exactly what it was, but I guarantee you, if it's a pattern, you're going to know that it's been repeating over and over. And if you don't want it to keep repeating, becoming aware that it's even happening is step one. Then step two is to do what I said and analyze, where does it come from? What does it feel like? And there's several approaches. You can release stuck energy in your body, because emotions and trauma, they get stuck. Energy is real. It is flowing like a river all the time around you. It's in layers and layers and layers, and it flows. Um, Sometimes, it gets stuck. And where it gets stuck in our bodies, we all have a chakra system, which is the interface between the physical body and our energetic bodies. So that's why people talk about opening certain chakras to experience the non-physical, or the perception of the non-physical, like with your psychic senses. So you have 7 main chakras. They start here and they go all the way down your body. There's actually hundreds of chakras. You have them all over in your hands and feet and everywhere. You also have them transpersonally, which is outside your body. But for the purposes of this, just know that energy needs to flow like a river. And when you have a trauma, let's just say you had something happen when you were little, and maybe it wasn't even a big deal to an adult. Maybe as an adult, it wouldn't be a big deal, but as the little self that you were at that time, you took it to mean something else that's a big deal that you were traumatized by. It could be something simple like, um, you know, somebody got the birthday present that you wanted, or you dropped your ice cream and your parents wouldn't buy you another one. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but the reaction that you had at the time felt traumatic, and energy could have gotten stuck. And what it looks like when it gets stuck, it's just, well, people describe it in different ways. Some people can actually see it. But basically, the energy stops flowing and you have a blockage. And these things can eventually cause physical ailments. This is the eventual cause of diseases and even physical accidents. There can be patterns of people having physical accidents because of these patterns. So when you want to resolve a pattern within your family, you're going to start with yourself and do all this for yourself. You're not really going to expect your whole family to change because you're asking them to. If that were going to happen, it probably would have already happened. It's our job to work on our own energy, and by extension, when we change our energy field, like I said, it emanates from us like ripples on a pond, and then it intermingles and entrains itself with other people that are around us. And you can affect the energy field of anybody that you're around when you change your energy field, when you change your attitudes, and when you change your reactions and your responses to other people's behavior. So you can meditate, which I highly suggest. I'm going to say meditation pretty much every time I talk. It's the most natural way to become calm and centered and connect to your higher self, which is where all of your real wisdom is. It's not in your brain, your human thinking brain. It's your higher self that has the real wisdom. And so connecting with meditation and visualizing the stuck energy from your emotional blockage, and literally visualize moving it out of your body in any way that you want. I usually see it like flowing out and down into the earth, because the earth can take our energy and transmute it and clean it for us. And then you can even bring the clean energy back up through your body any way you want to. And basically, the other way that you stop these family patterns from continuing, you have to stop it within yourself. So obviously, if you don't like the way your family has treated certain topics and behaved, certainly don't perpetuate that behavior. So you have to be mindful of your own reactions. Sometimes we have knee-jerk reactions to what people do to us, especially if it's unfair, especially if it's abusive, if it's just generally uncool. So part of our job is to really become the bigger person and not react the same way as we did in the past. Because if you react to someone doing something to you in the same way that you always have, then you're just perpetuating the pattern. So if you need to work on your own responses, become the observer of your own self. Eckhart Tolle calls it the observer self, where you remove yourself energetically a little bit from your own experience, and you realize that there's a higher version of you that can look down kind of and see you and your reactions from a place that's not highly charged with emotion. You know, you're not really in the thick of it. You're not angry. You're not sad. You're not shocked. You're just watching. And if you can get to that place where you're just watching and observing, then you won't have the same kind of reactions to what people do to you in general. You know, um, that's where you can get centered and calm, and that's a place where meditation can help you reach that point. So, you know, other than doing your shadow work so that you heal your own patterns, you understand yourself, you release stuck energy in your body regularly with meditation, but you can also, um, physical exercise is good for that too. That's one reason why we need to move our bodies, because the physical body interface is the vessel. It's the antenna that has to be clear so that you can receive the higher guidance. It's all interrelated. It's an ecosystem. So when you remove yourself by sort of becoming the higher self, living from that perspective that you wish other people would live by. If you want to see other people in general, in your family or otherwise, behave differently, you have to set the example and behave differently. And it's not necessarily that they're going to see you and be just like you, but the energy that you put out with your behavior, um, it also needs to match your interior, though. It needs to be authentic. So that's why I said to work on your shadow work, because if you're behaving a certain way, but you have secret anger, or any kind of repressed emotion about the situation, and you know you're still getting mad every single time these things happen to you, then you're still embroiled in it, and you're still involving your energy in it. So it's best, if you really want to stop these patterns, stop it with your behavior, stop it with your own thoughts, stop it with your own healing, and then make sure that you're not still engaging with that energy, with your own anger. If you're still triggered and angry and having those kind of reactions when people do these things, then you haven't quite transcended them yet. You're on your way, but you know, the anger and all the emotions, they're not to be avoided. They are actually useful, but they're useful so to get your attention. So you can say, oh man, why am I angry? What am I going to do about that?
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about the other people. They're just doing what they do. Everybody just came here to do what they do. And their journey of healing is their own journey. We cannot really ask other people to heal. It's not our place to do that. We don't even know if they can. Not everybody is at the level of self-awareness where they understand any of this. So, short, long story short, address your own reactions, address your behavior, address your thoughts, and remove yourself from toxic situations that you can't resolve. Sometimes you can't discuss these things with people in a rational way because they're not rational. You can't force that. And especially when people are in fight or flight mode their whole lives, or they're always angry, that could be an overactive amygdala, which means you're just in fight or flight and you can't be reasonable. If people are like that, there's no reason to talk to them and try to be reasonable. Sometimes removing people from your life to give yourself that space and that inner peace to heal is what you need. And when you do heal yourself and you change your vibration and it becomes higher, which means faster, you vibrate faster, you feel healthier, um, you naturally radiate that energy forward and backward in your family line. There's no linear time really outside of the 3D physical that we're in. But for the purposes of this, how people say that you heal generations before you and behind you, it's just radiating from you in all directions, in all timelines, in all versions of yourself and your family members. So you're doing a service to your whole family line when you do this work. And it automatically does help, even if you don't personally get to see the results. Depends on how closely you live with the people. But it might, it's a multi-pronged approach that mostly involves you addressing your own issues. If we've been in toxic families, we have toxic patterns. That's all there is to
Mhm.
it. You may be, if you have a narcissist codependent set of parents, every child from that union will be a narcissist or a codependent, including you. So if you're not the narcissist, you're the codependent. If you're the narcissist, you're not the one asking this question about healing because they don't do that. So, that's one way to know. But we all have these patterns. Everybody has these things, and it's really the same answer for any problem that you have is to go inside and dissect your reactions and do inner child work to heal that little person inside that got hurt when they were little. That also carries forward and backwards. You can actually heal your past by healing your present. Because, like I said, the energy actually changes you. It honestly can change your timeline. We do vibrate slightly differently all the time, and timelines are all next to each other, interwoven, and you can vibrate to a different version of yourself, which means there's a different version of your family. So when you think about it like that, you can heal your past sometimes if you heal your present. Um, I hope that makes sense. Sophia, do you have thoughts about this?
Yeah, it made a lot of sense. And the thing is like this is such a big topic that when you were talking, I'm like, whoa, you hit like so many important parts to the answer. Meditation, being the assuming the observer perspective, looking, being able to actually even see patterns. So I just kind of want to see whether or not there's something I can add because I feel like you really covered everything really well, and the only thing I can think really is to remember that the game that we're here to play on this earth field is an energetic game. So Donna said it because she said that really when you start feeling like you're stuck, it's because that energy is not flowing. And that every day, when you consider all the topics, whether or not they're family related or not, if you consider all the topics of your life that are giving you a problem that you're finding that you can't seem to be able to, you're feeling stuck about, then it's really just because the energy is not flowing. And just by remembering that, one of the things too, to be able to assume that observer perspective is to consider this word karma. Sometimes I think we try and over complicate what karma could be viewed as that would kind of play a really beneficial role in your life. And it would be to look at karma as though it were that these family members that you are born into, having this family unit, that you all decided to play this energetic game together. Like that's really the foundation to karma, is that somewhere along the line there was a decision made. And even if you don't really buy into that, let's just say you're already here. It's an energetic game that we're playing. And so, but if you were to look at that higher picture, that higher consciousness perspective, there's this, the patterns have already been pre-established and everything. And when you come into this earth, what you're doing is really experiencing the storylines that you're allowed to experience. And a lot of them are going to be really sucky, by the way. It's because we came here to kind of evolve, to move from one point of energy to the next, and to allow whatever lesson it is that our soul wanted to learn. We come to this life, and the people who are around us are here to help us to to live that soul journey. And so if the fact that you're asking this question alone means that you are on that spiritual journey. If you're willing to actually look into yourself, you're on that spiritual journey. What I do want to remind you is not to be so involved in the energetics of the other people involved, or trying to control that. And that's what Donna was talking about, is really trying to um, control people's reactions, or control what people think, or control if people like you, or control, that's where we kind of get into a problem. Because and that's really pretty much how most people behave, is we think that by wanting to help the family, then what we have to do is come in there and then try and change who they are, change how they're interacting. And what Donna was saying, really, that I think is really central to all of this, is really the fact that you have to look within yourself, because those patterns, how they involve you, is really in the way that you're reacting with the energetics that you are meeting up within your family members, with your family members. So the important thing to do is, like, once you fix the energetics within yourself, and how you how you interact with within yourself, by making peace with these topics that are that you're struggling with, then you find that the dynamic of the family itself changes. And the purpose really isn't really to have them change. The purpose is always to have yourself change, because this life is really about you. You're the one who's living it. You're the one who is struggling with the fact that now you can't make peace within yourself with the way things are. And it does require having that higher level perspective and being able to tune into it, because one thing that you're going to find is that maybe the reason why you came here is because you've tried so many different ways, and then you're realizing that, oh, I haven't really stepped outside myself to see the situation from outside of myself. I think that's really critical, which is why me and Donna both really want to encourage people, and are always encouraging people to assume that higher consciousness perspective. The idea really is that you have to also kind of understand that you don't exist really just as a mental being, or a physical being. You also exist as a spiritual, as a spirit, as a soul, and that spirit is here having this journey. And then being able to allow your focus point to be on that spirit, on that, your focus to be on the soul, and connecting to what your soul is really seeking to learn on this path, is very important, which is why the meditation comes into play. And just sometimes people aren't able to meditate really, but really the idea is, if you're able to incorporate into your everyday awareness that you exist as a multidimensional being, like you don't just exist as a person who has these problems. You exist beyond that. There's an aspect of you that exists beyond that has all these answers. And that, we really don't even have to be giving you any answer, except, which is why we don't give answers. We just point the way, like, oh, go there, go to your higher self, like, go there, go ask. And so finding a way to commune with your higher self is really important. And then secondly, is just realizing that in order to release what you feel is kind of like your job and obligation, it really, sometimes when I look at people who try, and when you look at the subject about trying to completely change the karmic nature of your, your family unit, it's ironic to say that it's not changing them, but it's really changing yourself. It's really changing yourself that changes the whole unit, which is really why, when you hear people talk about, even when you look at it from that bigger perspective, like changing the world, in order to change a world, you can't really change a world until you change yourself, because once you change your energetics, then it now changes the world, like it immediately changes it because you change yourself. So that becomes very empowering. Because the minute that you switch away from thinking like, oh, I have to like now go and do this and do that and convince this person to do, no. You've taken the power out of your own court. So the idea is, remember that this existence here, because you're asking this question, is because you're bringing your awareness back to yourself, back to understanding that you have the power not to change them, but to change yourself and to change the course of your own life, really by looking at these topics, looking at the patterns, because the patterns are really connected to these stories that you've all agreed to come here to live out, and that you can decide to change that story. You can decide that, you know what, my family has really believed in being greedy or whatever it is. And it's like, but I'm not going to do that anymore, because really deep down inside, I don't want to live that storyline anymore. So it doesn't really matter what that story is, but just to remember that you have the ability to decide within yourself what new stories you want to live. And then from that, you can learn what the energy would look like. That, because now you know already, you've had the experience all your life, what you don't want. Like, you've had the experience of the energetics of how things are that you don't like. And so just discovering what the new energetics that you're trying to move into, it does require tapping into your higher self, because your higher self has that answer. The reason why I put you on this journey was so that you would discover that answer, so that you would walk that path, and that you would get to the other side. And yeah, it might take some time, but this is it. Like, you've initiated the process simply by coming out with this question and asking for a new way of looking at it. And I'm hoping that Donna and myself have, kind of given you a way in, so that you can kind of, start to begin to resolve this within yourself. Okay,
That
Donna?
was a great answer. And I love that you brought in the karma and the fact that we've chosen these patterns. I think that's a pretty widely accepted view at this point in the spiritual community.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I do believe we have soul contracts, and that we choose our incarnations based on the lessons that we want to learn, and that everybody in our lives also chose to be a part of that, and then
Yes.
have their own lives where you're a player in their lives. So yeah, I do believe we chose this, and it's for the purposes of learning. And once you learn what you don't want and you change it, sometimes the pattern just stops. It's like kind of like magic, because you literally are the center of your life, because this is your reality that you're co-creating with your higher self
And
and
this
your
person has
child.
said that. This person has said that they want to be done. And that's already a statement of a declaration of what I want. I want to be done with certain things. And once you've made that statement, it really is that from then on, you've already initiated the changing of your calibrations, like your energetics. You've already initiated that. And so, continue to check into yourself. Donna, what were you saying?
No, I think this is great.
Okay.
I mean, I think we covered a lot. We could go into infinite detail, but it would take,
Yeah, and then it'll run
we'll just
probably
save
too
that for other
long.
videos.
So yeah, this was really nice. I didn't know how we're gonna answer this question, because it's really new that we're working together like this. But I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to doing this again. What about you, Donna? Say yes.
Yeah, this is great, and I look forward to more questions. We do have some more questions to answer, and hopefully this format is helpful for everybody. We really appreciate it if you watched our video. Thank you.
And we do welcome feedback. So whatever you have to offer in terms of what you would like to see going forward, or if you like this and you want us to continue doing it this way, then, or if you have an idea, then we're open to that also.
Yep.
So, okay. Looking forward to our next session together.
Thank you so much.
Okay.